Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in and thank you so much Nadiya for inviting me to your channel once again. And today I'm going to be speaking about the full moon taking place in the sign of Capricorn on the 10th of July 2025. Now this full moon is quite a reality check type of energy, not just because it's taking place in a very realistic, very down to earth, and very, how should I say, power over the earthly element sign, specifics of the sign of Capricorn, but also its ruler. So we're speaking about Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, at the time of the full moon is at a standstill. It is not moving all that much, preparing to go retrograde a few days after. So this adds a lot of intensity, a lot of seriousness, and it raises something, an awareness to something. For example, sovereignty, authority, of a relation to authority, who is in charge, and that sometimes it's not even external question. Sometimes it is an internal question in the sense of which component, which part of our being is in charge, for example, when reacting, when making a decision, or when planning how to achieve a goal, for example. All of this is so very specific to the sign of Aries, where Saturn is in at the time of the full moon. And the general astrological picture perhaps is more relevant than the aspects that this full moon holds itself, which are actually not that numerous and not that very precise, but they say a lot. So, taking this into consideration, right off the bat, I would say that this is quite a positive full moon, quite a positive and solution oriented energy, even though it is not very specific, typical to a full moon, as in not that very dreamy. It is emotional, but the emotion is very rooted in some reality, something important, something earthly, something that is significant in our lives. And also, there is a certain need to act upon it sooner or later. So let's begin. I'm gonna be sharing my screen with you. So here we can see the full moon in the sign of Aries. Like always, sorry, in the sign of Capricorn. Like always, a full moon is an opposition of the sun and the moon. As Nadiya likes to say they're standing across the sky from each other. So the sun illuminates the full moon, which is the culmination of the lunar cycle. Always, 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 it has a revelatory quality. It makes us feel, it makes us contemplate, it makes us react, it makes us many times go inward and ask questions. And because of this, well, we are reacting to something, right? So that may represent a karmic completion, a karmic culmination, something karmic that takes place. Or replace karmic with the typical cause and effect. Something was started maybe, let's say, 6 months ago, and at the time of the full moon, the energy becomes ripe and it delivers something, an event, a cause and effect type of play out, something that matures within us. Except it can play out in so very many ways. So this part is generally available to any type of full moon, any kind of full moon. So including this one in the sign of Capricorn. So it will definitely shed a light on something depending on where this 18 degrees and 50 minutes of Capricorn is in your chart personally. So it will shed a light on, it will highlight, illuminate, cause an emotional reaction to that area of life. And as I said, it is quite possible, probable that we react to something that takes place, for example, karmically or cause and effect in our lives, especially because Capricorn is very much linked to manifestation, to achieving something. For example, let's look at the zodiac. If something enters the earthly plane at the 0 degrees of Aries, which is also pretty important for this full moon, but I'm gonna explain later on. So it enters there, and as the energy of that, like that can be just a thought, a feeling, a dream, a fantasy. And Aries is the head. We lived it, we dreamt it, we got it, reached us, and it goes around the zodiac. And when this energy reaches Capricorn, well, it already has a shape and form and purpose and effect in at least in our lives, one way or another. So that's why Capricorn is especially linked to a result or something that is usually impactful. Collectively speaking, it will very, how should I say? The theme of this full moon may not feel even that very special, collectively speaking, because it's so much in the theme of what we're already living and have been living for some months and even years now. Centralized power, governments, leaders, big people, those who are in power, institutions, the head of something, the patriarchal energy. Full moon, it's in the spotlight once again. So that part of the play out of the energy is really not all, it's not new, it's not all that even special. But again, it's a continuation. So we can expect something like that coming into our awareness very soon, because so much is going on with the Saturn. So leadership, power, security, borders, uh, discipline, self-discipline, containment of something, building structures, limitations. I can go on and on for hours. It's really playing out in the world, both in the sense of Saturn and Capricorn, the sign which it rules. So we're gonna be seeing this play out on the world stage. And given the fact that the sun illuminates this from Cancer, so Cancer is the family, Cancer is the people, Cancer is the collective feeling, and that which is shared collectively. That's also very much in the spotlight. And it's not just the sun that is in Cancer, Jupiter. Jupiter loves being in the sign of Cancer, but ignoring that, it still amplifies, expands, magnifies the feeling and the importance of that energy. Cancer is also the sign of nurture, the sign of the mother, basically. So, issues around food. I don't need to go into detail. Those are gonna be really in the spotlight. And as planetoid series responsible, collectively seen again as food, as sustenance, as nurture, as, anything related to what we nurture, is holding not a tight aspect. We can barely call it a square, but it's still a square, which means it's a T-square with the full moon. So again, issues around food. Fortunately, and with this I'm already going into the aspect, it holds. This isn't a very tight trine, but it's still a trine with Mars and Virgo, which is really good. Trine always like the energy of flow. It's like a blessing. It is dished out one way or another. And Virgo is all about solutions. Virgo is all about service, serving, helping. For example, when you think about Virgo and you want to put it into context, healthcare system is the first keyword that may come to our minds, because the act of nurture is Cancer, or caring is Cancer, but the modus operandi, the knowledge, what we do, organizing it, this person offering it, well, that's so much Virgo. Doctors, nurses, any auxiliary personnel. So Mars is the planet of action. Where Mars is, that area of the sky in our charts, it's energized. That's where the fire is burning, so to speak. So this trine with Virgo is really, really good because it's solution oriented. The light of the full moon may be illuminating something that is working, something that is providing, something that even if just potentially, but it's a really, really good idea. Idea very much Virgo. Research, the result of research, something that is being accomplished, something that is being solved. And again, a trine, it is working, it is positive, it is good. Another energy that is a trine, so it's also in Virgo, is the South Node. That's even more positive because it means we're releasing the problem. We're solving the problem. The moon and South Node. So we release feelings, for example, fears, concerns, outrage. So something in the world is taking place that is positive. And it, again, the keyword here is solution oriented. The ruler of the full moon, um, Saturn, again, I have to say it's standing still in the sky, preparing to go retrograde. Let me just check my notes. So Saturn is gonna go retrograde on the 13th of July until 28th of November. So 3 days after this full moon, it's serious. It has a message. It has a theme. So Saturn in this position, especially in Aries, it can highlight the problem and the urgency that solution must be implemented, must be dished out. It doesn't matter if there is time. Saturn is the ruler of time, or time ran out. So the time is here for something. This also highlights, but more individually, personally speaking, the potential karmic nature of this full moon, because Saturn is the sacrifice principle. If you worked for it, if you sacrificed for it, if you, yeah, classically, the cliche, suffered for it, if effort or some kind of investment was offered, there is a time for reward. So this can very well be a karmic reward of some kind. Neptune is conjunct Saturn at the time of this full moon, and Neptune is also retrograde. And Neptune went retrograde a few days before the full moon, on the 4th of July more specifically. So Neptune is the spirit, especially, for example, I'm gonna say the highest expression of it, the spirit of compassion, the spirit of communion in the sign of Aries, in alive, active, in the individual, Aries. And both Saturn and Neptune, it's Neptune who's technically retrograde, Saturn is just preparing, but embodiment, the energy turns inwards. It comes from within, living from inside out, not opposite. So, if compassion is a big keyword with Neptune, then it's really good news because compassion is there, compassion is acted upon. Mercury in the sign of Leo, courage is there, courage is wise, courage is mercurial at that moment, which means there are solutions, there is adaptation, there is activity there, courageous activity. Or Leo, in its own unique way, is about love because courage is generated by the love of something, a love of a principle, the love of humanity. And these keywords are also important because at the time of the full moon, Uranus is in the sign of Gemini. Uranus moved in here on the 7th of July. So again, this full moon intensifies certain emotions and it's a reality check. But one of the realities that it's highlighting, we are navigating different waters already. On one hand, Saturn, Neptune retrograde, we need to close certain things in from the past, stemming from the past. For example, Saturnian things, health problems, duties, obligations, karmic stuff, things that simply limit us, that chain us, that are no longer useful in any way, especially karmically. So a reality check where what we need to do work for sacrifice for, or Neptune retrograde, wake up from, get disillusioned from. And disillusionment, especially related to Capricorn, as Nadiya said in a couple of horoscopes previously, that Pluto in Aquarius is showing us where deception, manipulation lies. It is out there for everyone to see. Yes, this full moon in Capricorn also ties into that. It wakes us up to the facts, to reality, things we cannot ignore, and that, on one hand, causes us to really think about things, contemplate, view the world so differently. Uranus in Gemini, our lower perception, our lower thoughts, our immediate thoughts, upgraded, revolutionized, awoken. And when I say awaken, I don't really mean it in a spiritual context, but rather awareness to something that we did not consider at all, or not in this way, manner, degree, fashion before. Venus is also in the sign of Gemini at this technically-ish conjunct Uranus, value, currency, money, and love. Uh, Venus in Gemini is the love of siblings, everyone, and Uranus is the planet of big principles, the big, basically the cores that stand at the very foundation of humanity and humanitarianism, the love of that. So freedom, equality, etc. Everyone, every man and woman, and everyone is equal in front of the law. These humanitarian slash Uranian values, Venus. Big issues around this, without a shadow of a doubt. And as I said earlier, Neptune is also retrograde. So, especially in Aries, waking up to certain facts. And Saturn limitations. So, keywords, especially collectively speaking, but not just individually as well, for this full moon, are about sovereignty, are about stepping into authority, whatever that means. Collectively, of course, people, revolution in a typical sense because of Uranus and Gemini. Last time Uranus was in Gemini, if I'm not mistaken, I can't really name you the exact years, but I know that it was tied to a big anti-war, anti-aggression movements of people, hippie movements, anything like that. So that's such a freedom principle. So, as I said, this full moon will cast a light on anything of that nature playing out in the world, especially that Saturn is very close to that 0 degree of Aries, which is the world stage. So, which is publicly visible and very impactful out there because Saturn usually has a big impact in any way, shape, and form. Um, Another energy. So I said that the moon trines the south node in Virgo, so release energy. Um, Something sees completion, or something sees um its downfall, so to speak, because it lived and served its purpose, and now it has to, for example, be repurposed or be made history, quite literally. So that type of energy promotes that changes, we're gonna be reacting to changes, but that means that sextiles, um, North Node in the sign of Pisces, that's also a really positive energy because it's not just something material, it is also something deeply spiritual, like coming from the collective unconscious. Hope for Pisces is very much hope type of energy, or what we believe in, or what we feed with our emotions and belief. So this can represent the good things: peace, love, compassion, solidarity, all of that. And especially remember, Pisces, the spirit of communion. That work pays off. That shows signs of, well, manifestation ultimately. That's the only way I can name it. Which is really, this is the positive side of the full moon. But as I said, there is a reality check side of the full moon because all of this is accomplished by sacrifice, by effort, and by maturity. Because maturity in itself is a work, is the result of work and sacrifice. It doesn't just, fall down upon us from the heavens. The opportunity for that may fall down from the heavens, but sometimes it comes wrapped up as trouble, as pain, as challenge. We have to unwrap it and get to the so the Saturnian lessons in life don't come all that easy and smiling, and it's not Jupiter. um, Another thing that I want to speak about and mention before I get on to the signs, what the full moon may mean for the 12 signs themselves, I want to speak about the Sabian symbol of this full moon, which I find so very relevant. So we're looking at 18-19 degrees of Capricorn, and it says a 5-year-old child carrying a bag full of groceries. So very symbolic, so Capricornian. Now, there is more than one way we can look at this picture. One is, well, without doubt, not so beautiful, not so loving, because many people, especially mothers, may argue that, oh my goodness, who would do that to their child? How absolutely. It's true. It's not the prettiest picture. However, we must take into consideration that on one hand, uh, Capricorn children may request this at 5 years of age, or okay, replace Capricorn with other very sturdy and result oriented signs like Scorpio, for example, or any sign actually with the right configuration. So there would be children who want to do this, for whom it's no torture, no one asks them to do it, they just want to do it. There's that. There is the other thing to consider, where some people really have very, very tough lives, and it's up to the children to help them. It's not forced. However, understand the situation. Of course, the child wants to help the parent no matter what. The child's act of compassion, but which already means that they had a very strong maturization already in life in order to be able to do that. Of course, there is the not so nice expression of that, where the parent maybe forces it upon the child. However, even in the worst case scenario, it will still have a very strong disciplinary and maturization, but this is in a power sense in the life of the child, especially in the future. It would have taught the child a lot by the time they, for example, they reach 18. Never, not even to mention 28, 30, the ages of the Saturn return. So, but the Sabian symbol depicts, on one hand, the power of children, the power of youth, the power of a creational thought or energy. A 5-year-old child is not helpless. Uh, Anything like in the stage of seed of creation, or something that is not fully matured, something that is maybe in baby stages. Okay, but it's not totally helpless. It can still produce effect. So, on one hand, this full moon wants to tell us no gesture, no action, no act of sacrifice or stopping something. Saturn, the discipline, the restriction principle. I no longer want to continue a pattern. A Virgo, a South Node in Virgo, for example, in the lives of many people, this will be like a detox. The time has come for me not to continue this pattern, this relationship, this routine, daily routine, whatever, this bad sleep pattern, whatever that is for the in the lives of some people. This is what the full moon is going to bring. In the lives of other people, this will bring how should I say, an introspection moment, or not even introspection, just like an overview moment of what certain, for example, routine changes, sacrifices, work that they've done to improve their lives, their health, something in their lives. They will look back at the hard work, the sacrifices, because now, at the time of that full moon, so around the 10th of July, they are harvesting the reward. They're seeing the benefits. They are coming to the conclusion, yep, it worked. Yep, it was worth it. Yep, I've done it. And of course, maybe a decision to continue, how to continue, or you get what I'm saying. So, especially that Saturn is standing still, things can stir from the past. So that's why when it's Saturn involved, there can very well be a reward principle, because Saturn, like Nadiya Shah always says, is delayed gratification. But a full moon, since it's completion time, maybe now we get the gratification for something that was pending, karmically or not, or in a very practical sense. Another energy that I want to mention before I don't forget, the moon also trines dwarf planet Orcus at somewhere 15 of Virgo, so between the South Node and Mars. Orcus is like the anti-Pluto. It wants to not transform, not repurpose, restore, or terminate forever if not possible. So that's very strong highlight that either this is an energy of healing or an energy to us to become aware that a situation, a relationship, a work situation, a contract, why not, with work, or a feeling within us, or our own status, our own health, something is no longer the same. Things are no longer uh, the same and not gonna be ever again. An awareness with this, as I said, it can be so very many, but that doesn't mean anything negative. That means that we're aiming to the future, that we're doing things differently, or again, Saturn in Aries, we cannot ignore this part, sovereignty. Um, and one last thing that I would like to mention, actually two, sorry. Another aspect that this full moon holds is a T-square to asteroid Eros. So for some people, Eros is like Cupid, erotic angel, the erotic side of in Aries especially. So certain feelings or certain connections, even from the past, and this can be the not so distant past, a few weeks or months ago, may bring up certain issues. For example, what happened after a party, all of a sudden it has repercussions, it has connections, it has karma attached to it, and this can be either very positive, because commitment, or not so positive if you want to escape commitment. But since any full moon is like an emotional energy, this tensions, especially erotic tensions, can be high at the time of the full moon. So yeah. And yet another energy that I want to speak about is a trine. And once again, Virgo is the host of this energy with asteroid Asclepius. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. That's why I had a little bit of a break, which is like a medicine god. And it is the son of Apollo. So, again, in the sign of Virgo, a really good trine to have because it brings solutions to, for example, health problem, humanitarian crisis, health related issues, hygiene. Actually, Asclepius is the father of Hygeia. So yeah, it's really really this. I love this drawing. That's why I'm mentioning it. And last but not least, it holds a trine, but I don't think I can pronounce the name of this. So if you please look at my screen, I'm gonna type it. It's a fixed star. With this fixed star, which is a rather fortunate fixed star because it favors independent thought, and we really need a lot of that right now, and even at the time of the full moon. And it many times it signals trouble with authority. So this is why this full moon can potentially represent on the world stage the change of leadership. Someone steps down, or someone steps up, which is also a change of leadership. So we are going to be seeing things about leaders. Mercury in the sign of Leo, the sign again to linked to royalty, kings, leaders, VIPs, people in the spotlight. So we might see something, and it can also represent very, very potent and strong artistic talent. So art or artists or the archetype of the artists either is the leader, or their actions like humanitarian aid, fundraising, help is out there. Now, I think I cover. Oh, I'm so sorry, but there's also one last thing I want to mention. At the time of the full moon, Venus holds a trine with Pluto. Let me just highlight this for you. And this is such a good energy because this is an air trine, Gemini, Aquarius trine. This means again solution, quick solution, power of the people, power of blessed, benevolent, loving, brotherly, sisterly, higher thought, and even the power of collective thought. Help is out there. Okay, Venus also squares Mars, but that's not necessarily bad because what this square represents is that, well, Gemini, Venus in Gemini, the loving thought, communication, the need for help. Mars in Virgo says, let that not just be empty word or the promise of help. Let that be real, concrete, Virgo type of energy. So it's really positive. If you speak about love, then mean it in action. This is one of the ways the square can play out. So even the square, it's quite a positive energy here. Now, with this being said, in the following, I'm going to be speaking about what this full moon energy may mean for each sign individually. And in order to make it easier, I'm going to share my screen again, where you're going to see a picture of each sign. So this is how we'll know which sign I'm speaking about. And this is really useful for people just tuning in. So, of course, let's begin with natives born under the sign of Aries. So for you guys, it's a really, really powerful full moon because on one hand, you are the hosts of Saturn, the ruler, and its 10th house, so the top of your sky. One of the most important positions because it influences your impact and position in the world, whatever that means. It can mean soul path, which the world is really an optional component where it's what your soul wants to accomplish in your life. But it can also represent for very many people career, and very concrete, down to earth things that we wanna accomplish, which are not necessarily career related, but are very important to us, especially because Saturn is in your sign, its first house. So the self image. So this is a big, big energy around self image, but also feeling. Let me give you a good example because I am very convinced this is one of the ways it is going to play out in very many Aries natives' lives. So, how do you feel about how far you've come in career? Something that happens career-wise, of course, may it be something very personal or not necessarily. It just directs your thoughts. It directs your attention, emotional attention there. It makes you ask questions. It highlights the past, what you've done, the present, and it makes you evaluate your situation. Maybe sometimes compare it to others, or your work and home life balance. Maybe the career is, you know, fully operational, full sales ahead, really, really active, but the tumultuous activity in the career means that the home life, family life, for example, may be suffering. Time, Saturn, right? So if this becomes obvious for Aries natives, this means that they need to find a way to adjust or do something with this energy. For example, dedicate more time to home and family, or have a very serious talk with home and family, whatever that means, that right now they need to be supported themselves because it's very important in their career path. Why not? This can also represent rewards, recognition, but also problems. Problems not necessarily in a bad sense, where let's say there is a challenge, a problem at work, and the Aries natives knows this is my time to step up. This is my time to show what I can do. This is my time to be in the spotlight with my skills or talents or something about me. So this full moon, especially if it dishes problems, is the best possible energy because the Aries native nails it. Or whatever, however, life kind of puts a laser beam focus on something in the Aries native's life. May that stem from the past, or may that be something like, for example, an opportunity they need to embrace and a decision that goes with it. It is still very, very personal. It is still something that only they can answer themselves. Wisdom, orientation, guidance, advice, know how, what to do cannot really be found in external praises at this moment, only in the self. For example, do I have the time? Do I have the energy? Do I sacrifice? Do I permit this to the self? And that can be a very reality check energy because sometimes the answer is no. Let's say there is a big career opportunity, but it would rob you from all your time. You think about it, you realize, thank you for the opportunity, thank you for the honor, but my family, my wife, my husband, my children, my pet, my time with spirit, whatever, is very, very valuable. I cannot sacrifice it for any. And this in itself can be a very positive energy. And another thing that I want to speak about, that this full moon can also shed light to the Aries natives' modus operandi in many things in life. So the way they approach it, the way they find solutions. For example, is it intellect based? Is it emotion based? Is it social based? Is it family based? What is the modus operandi of the Aries natives based in? Because this full moon will definitely highlight the advantages, but also where improvement can take place. So let us move on to natives born under the sign of Taurus, where for you guys this lunation takes place in the 9th house. And that's quite significant because on one hand, it will really, really make you think about what you've done until now with your specializations, with your studies, with your skills, with your, for example, diplomas, if any. This energy might invite you to innovate, to think outside of the box. Because Uranus, I know Uranus directly has nothing linked to this full moon, but this full moon will reveal the reality of the present moment, right? And the present moment, Uranus is a new energy shift in Gemini, which for you guys is the second house, which means life is calling upon you to innovate big time, especially in your values. So, how does this link to specializations and your worldview? If you broaden your horizon, if you think outside of the box, maybe you can repurpose your certain skills, studies, diplomas, masteries that you have to use them in ways that they aren't classically used. Maybe inspiration in this sense, communication in this sense, some kind of info reaches you from abroad, from anything that's international, anything that is, global, collective, how it's done in different parts of the world. So this can also be a very strong, let me say, cultural inspiration type of energy, where you might get inspired either from your culture, but a different layer of it, or from a foreign culture. This energy can also represent travels. Some Taurus natives may be on holiday at this time or travel in on travels. This full moon can highlight something really, an experience. It can be deeply spiritual, this experience, or deeply moving, something that you will definitely remember for the rest of your life, and it will become important as a lived experience. It can even inspire you for your future plans. Maybe it can inspire you to study something. It can inspire you to travel more. It can inspire you to tap into knowledge that you wouldn't normally opt to, for example, research or make part of your awareness. This full moon can also shed a light on Taurus natives' lives who are involved, engaged, or have something that has to do with the legal court cases, uh, something that an external authority has to solve. It may not be like a typical conflictual court case, but rather a decision a judge has to authorize or make it legal or consolidate a decision in a court of justice. So you might hear news, or there might be a resolution, there might be a solution, or there might be a work that you need to uh, offer or complete or a sacrifice something for that court case or that situation to be solved, but you hear news or you get some kind of manifestation in that sense. uh, Also, this energy can represent, especially for student natives, uh, for example, an exam which either you nailed it or it's better than you think, or something that you show at an exam leads you to unexplored rewards. You are included in a future project, or somehow it connects you to something ultimately positive. Uh, Now I think we can move on to natives born under the sign of Gemini. Well, for you guys, perhaps the most out of all the zodiac, this is gonna be a very transformative energy. because it is the domain of 8th house. Now, like any full moon, of course, it can shed a light of how much you've changed already, how far you've come, especially with healing, with finances, money, material situation, anything that is linked to your transactions, basically. Not just financial, but your relationship with the flow, ebbs and flow of life, so to speak. Um, Sexual energy. How much have you healed? Or how much has your life transformed over the course of a few years, especially beginning from 2020, in this area of your life? This can also represent anything that has to do with sharing with family, sharing with a partner, sharing with colleagues, sharing with friends, sharing with community. May that be money, resources. For example, this is also financial speculation. What can you do? Well, Gemini, any Gemini native, using your intelligence, using your connections, using your social potential perhaps to improve your financial situation, or a hobby or a business you are asked to become a partner of, or this energy can represent, looking back at how far you've come in this area of your life. But at the same time, speaking about the present, this can also be, as I said, a manifestation. Something is passed down to you. You receive rewards for a sacrifice, work, favor, or maybe a right, something from the past, something you've worked for in the past, even the not so distant past. Uh, this can also represent you sitting down with yourself and thinking about the future. What part of my life and the state of it, the state is the most important. Am I bringing into the future? What is realistic? What is not? Which people in my life, especially who I share thoughts, principles, ideas, the same faith with, can I bring into the future, and which do I have to cord cut, for example? Saturn in the 11th house means sometimes limitations. I am not everyone's friend like a typical Gemini. This is where now I step into my sovereignty and my maturity. I am friends to those people who I feel a mutual connections with. I shut off the everyone part from my worldview. So this is where limiting friends, limiting what you share with friends, limiting maybe what you share with family. So this energy, as I said, also highlights certain boundaries that you have in your life, even financially, even, for example, your work, uh, personal life balance, where, well, let me give you an example. Certain colleagues want to be friends, but you don't want to be friends. You want to keep the relationship at the stage of colleagues. You know what I mean? So this energy will really send you into a certain speculative, contemplative mode where you evaluate, is this connection, relationship worth it or not? And friends are going to be, well, trialed and judged by you in the sense that evaluation. What does this friendship have to offer for me and in my life? Because you know what you give, you know what you dish out, but if at the time of this full moon you would come to the realization that no, this is not so fair for me. I'm not feeling the mutual, the reciprocality, then dynamics change. And also for many Geminis, certain principles that prove themselves to be way too utopic. And a Gemini will want to make, this is where I no longer believe in this political party, in this principle, in this spiritual path, in this religion, in something that is common faith and principle, because it proved me wrong. Or I can't invest my energy into that. But that means opening up to the new, especially because Uranus for the next 8 years in your sign, Gemini. So you need to open up for, on one hand, changes and embracing how far you've come and how deeply you've transformed since 2020, but more specifically 2024 onwards, when Pluto finally left your eighth house, if you know what I mean. So that's a big energy because you are faced with the fact that bye bye, old self, no going back, no turning back. The only path, safe path, sound path, logical path, is the path forward and onwards into the future, even though a lot of that is like a leap of faith, like the Fool Tarot card, leaping into the unknown, uncharted territory. However, with you being the host of Uranus for the next 8 years, there's no other option. And Uranus can bring forward much more of its higher qualities in your sign than it could ever have done in Taurus, the sign which hosted it for the past 7 years. So yeah. Moving on, natives born under the sign of Cancer, well, this is where this energy hits your seventh house. So what does this mean? Either you are really gonna reevaluate a contract, a connection, a partnership, an alliance in your life. It's under the microscope. It's under the hammer of judgment. When I say judgment, not in a bad sense that we judge someone or discriminate, but we evaluate. Or your partner is in a difficulty, or something is rough and tough in the life of your partner. By any means, sometimes your partner is in the spotlight for all the good reasons. A ceremony, they're rewarded professionally, something big happens in your family, and their family, sorry. So something big happens in the life of your partner, life partner, for example. Now understand, of course, that eclipses you. And even though it might be the best thing for your partner, for you it might come through as a sacrifice, as needing to support them 24/7, mothering, fathering them. Do I need to continue? Having a partner, many times it's not easy. Imagine the typical husband-wife situation where the husband is in they nailed something at work, or they get a trophy, they get a reward. Well, that's absolutely wonderful, but for the wife, that will also mean a week before, take care of wash the clothes, iron them, make sure he's clean, make sure he has food, make sure he's prepared in any way, shape, and form, make sure he's encouraged at the parental duties of the partner. And then at the time of the ceremony, look pretty, be there, smile, laugh at the joke. It's so hard. And it's something very positive. So I needed to give this example because this can typically play out in some Cancer natives' lives, especially those who are partnered. But I would go as far as replace partner with child. There you go. You're hand in hand with your partner in the situation. Maybe there will be some reason why your partner is in a more spotlight than you, but that might be a good thing, you know what I mean? But just like for Aries natives' lives, for Cancer natives' lives, this may also raise an issue with home and work-life balance or soul path. Maybe it is exactly Cancer natives who are in the spotlight, who have something serious, important going on in their lives. And is the partner there, or is he, she not doing enough? Because if he and she is not doing enough, you can imagine that this will lead to discussions at least. This can also represent a change in partnership. Imagine if the Cancer native is offered with an opportunity at work, at career, so big thing, and it will change their partnership. Why? Maybe they need to relocate. What will the partner do? They need to spend long hours. They need to maybe leave the country. It's international. So the relationship will be long distance, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah. But this can also represent Saturn. You have a long-term relationship and the partner comes, either marriage or nothing. Either we sign the papers because I want security in my life or nothing. What will the Cancer native do? Or the Cancer native goes to the partner, either marriage or nothing, and the partner leaves. Well, uh, let's hope not. But anything in that sense, you know, is where what happens with the partner that causes very, very powerful emotion. Because even if they say yes, that means planning, a lot of planning, a lot of money, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of other people are gonna get involved. So, but put this in a different context. Cancer natives, do you leave your job and sign the contract for this opportunity that you were invited for? Or do you stay at your job? Thinking, negotiation, activity. So, this energy can play out in a totally opposite way. Don't get me wrong. Maybe something happens, time off work, a vacation, a prolonged vacation, a sabbatical year. So you will need to work with what the energy will offer you as well. Because this energy, as I said, can also be a strong reaction to something that is just there for you to accept. There's no other choice. So this energy can be also a take it easy, a take time off. Life is more than just about work or any kind of partnership. It can also be that. Moving on to latest born under the sign of Leo. Well, this is a sixth house energy, so something is really highlighted, illuminated in either issues regarding the physical body, health, uh, circulation, um, how you call it? Sorry, the heart, circulatory system. I do heart, blood pressure, stuff like that, but also hormones and also digestion. So this full moon can be for Leo natives. It can come with a little bit of IBS. So, you know, there's that part, but it highlights something. And what does it highlight? Well, on one hand, if there are any problems that are gonna become more serious or more major or real health problems. Maybe right now they're just minor little, I don't, irritations or allergies. This full moon will highlight that, and then the Leo native knows that they need to go take care of it. Are they either they need a routine change, a detox, or a medical visit? So health and health problems will need to be taken care of and need to be taken seriously. This may also represent break from work, but a medical break or a break for recovery, recuperation, and any investment into health, well-being, and to upgrade the way one enjoys life, quality of life basically, is really going to be a topic and theme for this full moon. At the same time, this energy may also speak about work, but the daily routine, the modus executory part of the work, not necessarily the larger sense of vocation and career and your soul calling and your who you are in your work, but more like the nitty gritty, the how you executed each and every day, the routine part. Now, this full moon might ask you to change things around. It might ask you to do certain things differently, especially things which are, it's not like you're doing it wrong, but there is so much better, quicker, easier, or help is out there. Don't do it alone. Modus operandi or solutions to what you need to do. So this kind of screams for an upgrade, which may not be comfortable, may not be within your principles. For example, technology, a new gadget, new software, new something, digitalization, or anything that is a big upgrade. It doesn't matter how you feel about it the moment when it comes into play, it will really upgrade your life. It will really make things easier. It will help you do more, or it will greatly improve your experience. So it is really to upgrade, to go to that course, to go to that skill, how you call that? Where you improve a skill with like a team play or like some kind of educate. You get what I mean. Go and do it. It will be worth it, trust me. And last but not least, it can also be an energy where you are rewarded at work, where you've done something good, where you showed skill, where you are offered a step up. A step up which maybe it doesn't change, as I said, your career path. Career wise, it doesn't change much, but your daily routine wise, it changes a lot. More comfort or something. So it can be a really, really good and fruitful energy for Leo natives. And as I said, some part of this energy can be also legal. It can be official, where for an upgrade, you need to go and, for example, upgrade your business legally, make it like a company, register a company, or take care of certain papers. Take care of, because the upgrade might be just a legal upgrade, a upgrade where some authority, let's say, offers you compensation, help, you get a lot of freebies. So, yeah, let's move on. Natives born under the sign of Virgo, well, maybe it is for Virgo natives who it is the most full moony type of full moon because it really awakens their feelings, their passion center, their heart center. So something definitely transpires here. Maybe it is something that reaches them from other people, family, partner, children, uh, people who are not family but are considered like family, or people who they're connected to, like colleagues or etc. etc. So something might come from the life of another, which sucks a Virgo native into it, and they make a reaction, a choice, a something. So something external might cause a Virgo native to feel a certain way. This energy can also represent, maybe sensuality, sexuality, a love declaration, a invitation for a steamy encounter with someone who they don't expect it, or someone from the past. Someone from the past might return, where in the past they were just a friend. Now they come with romantic declaration. What does the Virgo native do? A surprise, maybe a shock, maybe a something that makes them really, really think and also feel. This can also represent again a reward, but that reward might come as a surprise. They never saw it in a million years. It might be a decision. Uh, Something happens in the life of a family member. Virgo native goes and helps passionately. Spirit of compassion is also passion. Or children, child has something big going for them. Virgo native has to step in as either a helper, support, a cheerleader, or in any role for their child. Or some big news comes from the life of children. It can also represent where there is a financial energy, really. An investment. Do I risk or not? Something is being offered. Do you invest in it? Do you take part of it? Do you embrace it or not? Is it worth it or not? So this energy can also come into life of native Virgo natives as kind of financial speculation energy. Or someone asks for help, someone close. Do I give the loan or not? Or this is where someone had a loss. What do I do? How do I help? So very, very heart-based energy, but chances are it will determine either a decision or an action which might be very real or concrete. This can also represent other type of I don't want to say this word inheritance, because everyone will get the wrong idea. Usually, it's very, very, very rarely that. Inheritance in the sense that something is passed on to you, like a duty. A colleague at work leaves. Surprisingly, no warning. You inherited. There you go, you inherited. Maybe you will get more money, but you inherited duties and hardship. There we go. No doom and gloom involved, or any type of financial agreement that comes as inheritance. So Virgo natives are gonna be activated big time by this full moon. Moving on, natives born under the sign of Libra. Well, this is taking place in a part of your sky which is responsible for home and family and where you belong in the world, and basically your roots and self-care. So, and also the moon loves being in this part of the sky, in the fourth house specifically. Not so much in the sign of Capricorn itself, but house-wise, it is quite okay here. Uh, so, right off the bat, emotion is triggered. something goes on in the family. And why not? It can be even something positive, like a celebration, like a wedding, like an engagement, like new baby from your relatives. So this can be something really, really positive that, uh, how should I say, sparks up the mood, the general feeling of the whole family, for example. But this can also represent some decision that you can make at this moment, a clarity, a moment of decisiveness, a moment of determination reaches you in emotion, right? I am gonna upgrade the house, I'm gonna redecorate, I'm gonna change, modify something, maybe rebuild the house, because Saturn, Saturn is the ruler of the full moon, so it's solid, long-term, real, serious, big. And speaking about Saturn, he is in your seventh house. So partnership, maybe. Uh, Let me give you an example. Libra native is the husband. The wife says, Saturn, well, I've had it. The time has come. Either we redecorate, sell the house, or do something because I need a change. I can't live here anymore. End of discussion. Okay, this is the way the energy played out, but this can be very positive. It can lead to so very many positive changes. But at the same time, this can also represent where it's not necessarily the physical house, it's family, duty towards family, responsibility, diligence. Something happens in the life of the partner. It is the partner's family. So for Libra natives, well, duties for, the well-being of the family. But at the same time, rewards can come from the family. Gift, generosity, something passed down, home, house, real estate, so like a land or real estate value passed down from the family to you. The partner gets it, so it's yours as well. Legal rights, law, benefits. So for Libra natives, this can be quite a rewarding and benefic full moon because you're entitled to something, even if it's vice versa, even if it's a duty you need to uh, uphold, so to speak, it still leads to something really, really positive. So, yep, I like this full moon quite a lot for you guys, natives born under the sign of Libra. So moving on, for Scorpio natives, this is quite a contemplative and brainstorming full moon because it's taking place in your third house. You need to figure something out. A situation arises. Something blocks your life. Not in the big sense. Exactly where it hurts the most, the small sense, the nitty gritty. This can be, for example, a health problem. My back is blocked. There's no work is stopped. Every area of life is stopped. You need to figure it out, solve it very, very quickly. Who do you go to? Doctor, osteopath, how you call it? Um, Chiropractitioner, acupuncture. Who do you choose? What do you do? Third house is also siblings, if either real flesh and blood or bro sis, you know what I mean. Who do I call? Best friend, etc., etc. So either it's something health related, for example, or something is blocked. Bank account blocked, internet blocked, phone blocked, equipment blocked, car blocked, travel is blocked. leg injury, something happens that causes a major block. However, that causes brainstorming, and the brainstorming leads to somewhere very, very, very significant, almost fated, maybe to a grand genius solution, to an epiphany, to something very, very useful. Why? Well, whatever is blocked, the solution to it is going to be long term. It's going to be like a celestial gift passed down to you. It's going to be that good that you would want to make it part of your life. Like, let me go back to the example of the blocked back. The professional is going to be part of your life for very, very long term because you found your guy or girl, your therapist. Or car, time to buy a new car. And because the need is there, the deal that you get or the model or what you get is also dream come true. Bro and sis help, friends help, someone helps. You're in a pickle, someone helps you out. And it is the act of the help out that leads you to somewhere. This can also represent where you need to help a sibling, and that leads to somewhere very, very positive. This can also represent travels, urgencies, unexpected journeys that you need to take in order to either solve a problem, help someone out, or your own brainstorming, your own epiphany requires very quick action. So, yeah, um, for some Scorpio natives, this also represents needing to take a break at especially health problems. You can understand how that causes break at work, but it is going to be so helpful, so useful, so healing that it is actually going to lead to something very, very positive. Now, let's move on to natives born under the sign of Sagittarius. Well, for you guys, it's quite valuable because this is in the second house, money. I say money, but of course, the second house is so much more than material stuff. It is self-worth, how we feel about our lives. How rich is it with experiences, the pleasure of the five senses? So it's much more than money. But full moon, how do we feel? Usually, full moon in second house, something amps up our five senses, especially something delights us, but well, the ruler of the full moon, Saturn, it restricts it, it blocks it. Something takes away our pleasure, or something. Um, well, Saturn can also be the temptation principle, the great malefic in ancient astrology. So you can imagine there is something here, either a compromise or an opportunity which has strings attached, or actually strings attached relationship, where fun is not as stringless as it might seem. You know what? If you want fun, I accept, but then you are committing as well. If no, no deal. A situation like this. Or a restriction, it restricts um some kind of pleasure, some kind of desire, some kind of need, some kind of joy energy. However, that causes breakthrough. That causes a highlight of the Sag natives' personal value, personal power, something like, since it's second house energy, an investment. Let me give you an example. A certain situation, a conversation, someone, something makes the Sag native feel not so very generous and loving. So they feel that they themselves are not so loving, not so generous. What does the Sag native do? Go and buy a, a I don't necessarily want to say luxury gift, but a not modest gift, a gift that has a impact on it. You can imagine how that gesture, well, mostly it's not for the other person, but for the Sag native to prove to themselves, I can be very generous and loving. Look at my gesture. But it's not about the person, it's about the Sag native and the gesture, the risk, the investment, the value, right? I can be frugal. I wanted to say a really tighter than a duck's ring. And I learned this saying in England. I'm so sorry, but I couldn't help myself. So a generous gesture will definitely disprove that. So the Sagittarian native is doing a grand gesture in spirit. So of course that will make them feel better about themselves, and that will highlight not just to them, but for the entire cosmos that they are embodying the spirit of generosity. So this is where the Sag native does something under the light of this full moon, or it's an investment. They don't feel loved enough. They go and buy an expensive holiday, go to an expensive restaurant, reward themselves big time. It's expensive. It's, well, wasteful in the sense that they don't need it practically, but due to the psycho emotionals, of course they need it. They need this self-care, the spoil Jupiter in Cancer, right? Some Sagittarian natives can be invited for a wedding, for celebrations, for honors. So some natives can receive really unexpected joy and good news where life wants to honor them. Of course, it will cost. But the honor is what matters really. And karma can also play out in a fair, in the way of fairness, in whatever that means to the Sag native. Moving on, now, of course, we got to the hosts of the full moon Capricorn natives. So it's first house lunation. Anything goes right. Well, of course, it highlights you. It highlights the self. It puts the spotlight on you in any way, shape, and form. But this can represent a powerful family event where, as I said, you are in the spotlight, but it is the family that have an impact on you. What they do, especially let's say if it's a celebration, if it's like you graduated or something important happens in your life and they show up, they turn up in any way, shape, and form. You can imagine where that has power, that has feeling, that says something. Now, okay, maybe for some very unfortunate Capricorn natives' lives, it plays out as no one showing up. And then what does the lunation say? That, well, I shouldn't really expect my family to be there for me for the future because of reasons. However, that's an epiphany, that's a realization, that says something about the self. That says to the Capricorn natives, well, I need to be there for myself more. I need to be my own family. But let's hope that for most people it's the opposite. The family brings joy. The family brings some something good, something nice, something cheerful, a positive Saturnian element, or something comes from the past. The Capricorn native promised something for their family, and now they dish it out. Now they accomplish it. Of course, that leads to celebration. Um, this can actually also represent a big decision. Cap native leaves the community, leaves the city, a big relocation. They decide to become someone else. Not in a unhealthy way, but in a way where they change their life stories. The external and then the internal flows differently. The vibe is different. Many times to get into character, to be able for life to feel authentic to us, sometimes we need to go as far as really change the physical environment, the city, the home, the house, the country, even sometimes. So for some natives, it can actually lead to that. For others, still, it can also lead to, well, joys can also come from parenting, from parenthood, or children impacting the lives of Capricorn natives, of course, positively. For some, this is where the child is all grown up and they're ready to leave the home, how much life will change. For others, still, they just become parents and the home is richer than ever before. So each Capricorn native will have to see and observe how the celestial and astral and karmic spotlight is shown upon them by the universe, the cosmos itself. Now, moving on to natives born under the sign of Aquarius, maybe from all the zodiac, it is for Aquarius natives for which it is the dreamier, the more magical, spiritual, deeper and psycho-emotional type of full moon because it's taking place in the 12th house, the house of magic, house of past, house of psychoanalysis, house of karma and secret connections, of course. So this is where something is being revealed for them in a dream, in an altered state of consciousness. A big karmic event plays out, premonition, signs from the universe. Some paranormal activity, maybe. Karmic connection, someone returns from the past. A theme returns from the past. A communication returns from the past. The past calls upon the natives, a reunion, visiting a place, for example, school or childhood home or workplace or something really, really significant. Going to a place with higher spiritual meaning, like a pilgrimage. So for Aquarius natives, it is quite a mysterious, quite a magical full moon where there is more than meets the eye in the air. It's a revelation, but it's not perhaps the typical Saturnian that anyone else receives from this full moon, even though the ruler himself is Saturn. For Aquarius natives, it might be much more, let's say, anti-Saturnian, where the mystery thickens, where the magic just weaves itself, where maybe Aquarius natives are caught up in a mystery, in a story, in an aura of where the ethereal, where maybe the occult, why not, has a certain role there, has a word to say. And as I said, this can also represent dreams and anything that happens in the dream world. communication with the divine, relation with the divine, negotiation with the divine. So perhaps for Aquarius natives, this is where the energy is at least predictive and most mysterious, where you need to see what transpires, what goes on, what this energy will lead you to think about, analyze, contemplate. Because what is for certain, this will lead back to the past, one way or another. Past relationship, childhood, karma, past life even, some kind of spiritual experience, relation with the divine. You guys will need to be like paranormal investigators in your own lives in order to uncover the mystery that comes in hand with this full moon. And last but not least, natives born under the sign of Pisces. Well, for you guys, this might be quite dreamy. This can be like a dream come true in more than one sense. It can also be in a sense that you are living a principle, you are living a life philosophy, a goal, a big maybe desire of yours, a hope of yours. You're living it, you're doing it, you're acting upon it. How does it feel? How does it make you feel? And one of the feelings that might be quite strongly linked to this is lovable, lovability, because this is very much 11th house energy. So something in life, friends, family, other people, especially those who you connect with in principle, like political parties, that is the most obvious sign of connection between people in the 11th house sense. Not just people who belong to a political party, but also who believe in those principles, those, you know, politics, simply said. So you're living something already. How does it feel? What does this say about you? What does this say about your place and position in life? What does this say about your values? Because this might represent an act of sacrifice. You're living your dream, you're doing something big, but at the cost of a sacrifice. Or this can be playing out vice versa, where a Pisces native receives help big time for something valuable, important for them personally, from other people, fellow people who she shares a principle with. Uh, for example, part of the same religious group, same church, school, community, including anything on the internet, Facebook group, any group. People join forces to make the dream of a Pisces native come true. People help out a Pisces native in difficulty, in trouble, for anything, for a project, for... So the Pisces native might be recipient of the generosity of people, of their friends, of some principle they themselves as well sacrificed and fought for. And also, this is where Pisces native might feel, actually, what I want to say, how will being integrated in a group make them feel? What are the feelings? Because the feelings themselves will speak a lot about their values, especially future values, where they are right, wise to invest, especially people, friends, and where they are wise to withdraw and not to have expectations of and from. So this energy can very much clean the social area of Pisces natives' life, where some people even if it plays out in the most positive sense. Some friends sacrificed, others haven't. As simple as that. Those who sacrificed cannot be placed on the same scale of I don't want to say judgment, but justice equilibrium with those who haven't sacrificed at all. So who is a realer friend? Who is a realer person? Who makes you feel loved? So I think this is how I can conclude this horoscope, not just for Pisces natives, but for everyone. Again, thank you so very much, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Nadiya, for having me here. Until next time, bye for now, and wishing everyone a blessed and magical and prosperous Capricorn manifestation, right? Full moon.